Okay, I'm going to try to make a video which shows how to re-achieve symmetry in an object in a Z tool. So if you look here, you can see that the midline is screwed up. That's the main problem, is that I tinkered with the base mesh and somehow screwed up the midline instead of sculpting in symmetry. So, and you can really see it up here. These two are asymmetrical. So this is higher, and so basically what I want to do is I want to re-achieve symmetry. That's the goal. Now these have detail at a higher level. If we zoom in here, you can see they have a lot of sculpting detail, which I'd really rather not lose. I don't want to start over with the higher level. So I'm basically going to, in this video, I'm going to go through and I'm going to go through and delete this half of the model. Right, I'm going to delete the half that's masked, and then I'm going to mirror and weld the right half, and then I'm going to reproject the right half, and then I'm going to copy the symmetry from the right half to the left half using Resym under the deformation menu. All right, to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate the subtool. So the duplicate down here has all the, this is what we're going to use to reproject, is the one on the bottom. Turn that off. Switch to the lowest subdivision level and delete all the higher subdivision levels. The goal now is to make half of the model where we want it. Now to do that, some of these points are to the right. Is that right? Yeah, some of the midline points are to the right of 0 on the world axis. So what we need to do is we need to move half of the points, and this might take a little doing, to the left. Right, and you can see which points are getting moved. So I'm going to go through here, and so those all look right. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to push these points past the midline, because mirror and weld will go back and create that center line for me. I believe it will. Either that or it recenters the points that are already there. I'm not sure which. And I think this one needs to go. And I think this point in particular on this first vertebra is going to cause some extra problems, and so we'll have to tend with it separately. I didn't go through and make it perfect because I wanted to show you. I mean, this is what happens. Nothing is ever how you see it in a demo. And so basically I'm going through and saying, okay, this is the half of the model that I want to stay on one side. Right? And I'm going to exaggerate it so that I can see it. Let's see here. So one of the interesting things, if you hold down Command as you move to the left, it'll extrude a new set of polygons. If you just hold down Shift without Command, it'll just stretch the polygons that are there. I found that by accident this morning. And what I'm looking for is that I'm not dragging, that I'm only moving the center line of points. And I'm going to go through and inspect this pretty carefully because this ends up becoming a big deal. And I'm not going to leave it there. I'm going to move it back. It's just easier to see if I've missed anything. If it looks right. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Now that I know I've got everything, I want to move it just past midline. Okay, and when we're done with this, what's going to happen is we're going to have to either reproject or repaint right along the midline. And now I'm going to leave that top one up there as a good example of that. Okay, I think that's it. And if it's not, we'll know soon enough. All right, so now I'm going to hide this half, and I'm going to inspect it. Let me turn on double. Yeah, turn on double so you can see what you got. Now, if any of these points that are left don't meet the midline, when I do mirror and weld, it'll leave a hole. You don't want that. As long as they extend over, they won't. It'll close the hole. And this one will. This is going to leave a hole. But we'll go ahead and do it, and that way we can see it when it happens. All right, so now go under shift click on geometry and subtools so they're both open at the same time. select delete hidden, and that just deletes the polygons that are hidden, and then choose mirror and weld. Okay, that did get it. I thought it was going to leave a hole there, but it didn't. Let's see. I can't really see under there very well, so I'm going to change the light so it's coming in from underneath. I think that did it actually. See, this is going to cause a bit of a problem because these are too close to the midline. But I don't think we have any holes, so let's just go ahead and go with that. And these are obviously, I picked 3 or 4 of the worst vertebrae for us to make this thing, to do this experiment, this test. Paul Gabriel at Pixelogic was nice enough to help me with this. I really appreciate his help. And now we have saving file, so it's doing the auto save thing. I didn't hit save, it's doing the auto save. And we're going to wait for that. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to mask off the left half of the model, and we're going to step up and project each step of the model. Go to draw. Oh, before we do that, we need to subdivide the model. So I'm going to hit Command D, and I'm watching down here to see until I get to 5. Okay, now we're going to go down here to 1. We're going to turn on the other model, and we're going to, before we do that, we're going to mask off. Yeah, I only want to project the right side of the model. Turn on the other model. Do project all. And watch, if you do it again, it'll continue to do it a little bit. So I don't really know why that is, but I think it, I don't know. And we're going to do project, and when I'm stepping up as I go through each one. So I'm hitting D to go up to the next subdivision level before I hit project. And hopefully there will be something in here that doesn't work properly, because usually when you do this, there's some part of the polygroup which is farther away from the target model, and so it doesn't project properly, and you end up with a hole. And sure enough, here it is right here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to bring these polygons out, mask them out like this, invert the mask. I'm going to smooth that, and then I'm going to move it out, or just paint it out like this. And all we have to do is get it close. It doesn't have to be perfect, because we're going to reproject it again, and it should cover it. And while we're there, let's go up and look at the rest of it. Now these edges along here were wrong in the original, so they're going to be wrong now. So we're going to have to go back and fix this seam anyhow, because it didn't agree with the symmetry of the model to begin with. So the rest of it looks pretty good. That's a mistake that I made in the original sculpt. And I'm looking for areas that obviously didn't reproject properly. I think that's a mistake that I made in a previous sculpt. Yeah, so this looks good. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same drill, but only to the highest subdivision level. That should be close enough to get it. So we're going to hide half the model. And if I were at all in question of where the half of the model was, I could go down to the lowest subdivision level and look at it there, but I don't. We're not building. This is fine. So now we're going to do we're going to turn on the other model, and we're going to do project all again, and it takes a while. We're really concerned right in here. Yeah. Let's see here. I think it did some. Yeah, something got wonky in there. Let's see if we can fix that. I'm not sure I'd reproject that, to be honest, if that's the only one. Subtools don't always project properly when they're very close to one another or overlapping one another, and so sometimes you have to do it item by item. The rest of this looks really good. Okay, so let's pretend that's right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to make this half of the model the way we want it. So we're going to smooth these edges. And again, this isn't because we didn't do the project right. It's because we didn't sculpt the model right to begin with in terms of symmetry. And so we're just going to smooth these out. I'm just using the smooth brush. I think that's it. Again, this is going to cause a problem. So what we're going to do, what are we going to do about that? We are going to move this. We're going to go down to the lowest subdivision level, and we're going to try to straighten this up a little bit. Because these are getting too close to the edge, to the midline, so we're going to try to straighten these. And it basically, the reason this happened was these were on the wrong side of the world, being at 0 on the world x-axis when we started out. And so what we're trying to do now is get them back to the right area. All right. I don't know how that happened, but it did. All right, so now we're going to mask this half of the model. Oops, let's step up to our highest subdivision level. And now what we're trying to do is we're trying to, the right-hand side is correct. It has all the detail that we wanted, right? And we can prove that by putting the letter A here. And we're going to hide half the model. And we're basically going to project this half of the model onto the other side of the model. We're going to do that with we're going to do that with, well, actually before we do that, we can go ahead and delete this model. Yeah, because we only need the one this one's ready to go. All right, so now we are going to, under deformation, and we're going to do smart resim. Whoops. All right, I did the wrong side. I should have masked the other side of the model. So this is going to destroy everything we just did. Let's see if this will. So what I need to do is I need to flip the mask by command clicking outside the model, which will just invert the mask. And then that should do it. Yes, that destroyed everything we did. So now we're going to undo that, command click, and we're going to hit smart resim, and it's going to go through and apply a resymmetry to the model and put all our data there. It's also going to do all the color too, which is really nice. Oh, it may not do the color. If it doesn't do the color, it's because I didn't have RGB turned on up at the top, but I think it actually does the color as well automatically. Yep. It actually didn't do the color. So this time we're going to turn on RGB, make sure it's up at 100%. And we're going to do smart resim again. And again, thanks to Paul Gabry for the help in getting this worked out. This is something I worked on all day, and it took him seconds. It took him longer to write the email than it did for him to figure it out. So it's very helpful to have that kind of expertise. All right, and so this is going to be done any second now. There we go. Oh, it still didn't do the color. Oh well. I guess we'd have to repaint the color. I'm not sure why it didn't do the color, but it did do the letters there. And so what we would do now is, obviously, from now on, if we really want this symmetrical, we just have to make sure that symmetry remains turned on. So if you can see it moving right now, that's just X. So we paint it out on one side, it's painted out on the other side. So that's it, basically. And you can come back and look at our. So up here it got a little wonky. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to using X, I'm just going to smooth that out and resculpt that. So that workflow isn't isn't magical, but it certainly does everything we need it to do. So, and it didn't take that long. So that's it. Thank you very much. And just to make sure, yeah, so all of these midline points, remember how wavy they were when we started out? Now this model is perfectly symmetrical. All right, that's it. Thank you very much.